Welcome to Breathe California TV. My name is Terry Trumbull. I'm a volunteer for Breathe California, the lung health people in California. Today's show is going to focus on the Think electric car. Electric cars are the wave of the future because they save a lot of energy and a lot of pollution, which we'll explain to you, and have a lot of other highly desirable features. So we're going to be talking with Doug Brentlinger, an owner of one of them, and Bob Garzee from our Clean Cities program about the advantages of electric cars. See you in 30 seconds.
It's given me a chance to go out and be with people who has the same problem, and it helps you to manage your life better too, because you hear different things from each person, and it's just been really helpful in many ways.
Welcome back to Breathe California TV. I'm Terry Trumbull. I'm the volunteer head of our Environmental Health Committee. As with almost all areas of health, the focus generally is on helping people who have breathing difficulties. And last year we helped 100,000 people here in the South Bay with breathing difficulties. But our shows focus on preventing damage to your lungs, and it's hard to imagine anything much better at doing that than the electric car. We're going to talk with Doug Brentlinger, a owner of the Think electric car, and Bob Garzee, who has a lot of details that you'll be interested in about the cars. So gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
So Doug, why don't you tell us about what we see on your chest?
This is the Think electric vehicle. Mine is red, not blue, but other than that, it looks identical. It's a two-seater. There's seats about here. This area in back has a lot of storage area. We can haul things with it. So I use it as a work vehicle in part, because I have two houses and I do maintenance on both of them. I haul tools and ladders and stuff like that back and forth. It's a great work vehicle.
Well, you're a pretty tall guy. How's the headroom on that?
No problem. Lots of room left over for a 6'3", 6'4" person for sure. Maybe taller, I don't know. But it's a nice,
so we can all
spacious.
grow and not have any problems.
Yeah, if I grow any more, I'll let you know.
So it says on the sheet that our audience can't read, green team. They don't all come in green?
No, in fact, there weren't any green ones for sale in the batch that we got. Red, black, and
blue.
And blue, yeah, and blue.
So Bob, you're head of the green team. Just do a little explanation about what that is, and then we'll go back to talking to Doug about his car.
Yeah, and I also own one of those things, so I can give you some background on it too. But the green team is a consortium of Breathe California, which is our health partner. Also the Silicon Valley Clean Cities Coalition, which is Department of Energy. And then the third one is the Electronic Transportation Development Center, which is a 9-year-old organization that reaches out into Silicon Valley and pulls technology into the green transportation business. We work together, and each one of us has a particular focus.
So Doug, why did you pick this car?
Well, my wife bought a Volt last year, and I wanted an electric vehicle too, and this price was just excellent, so we decided to go ahead and do it.
Well, I heard rumors off air that you had a lot of experience with electric cars, that you converted one 13 years ago. So talk a little bit about that.
I have a little Dodge Rampage pickup truck I converted 13 years ago that has 28,000 miles on it of pure electric. It's a very heavy work truck. I haul stuff to our electric car shows, 600, 700, 800 pounds at a time in it. I've hauled 1,500 pounds in it of concrete work, for concrete work that I did a couple years ago. I don't think you could do that with this.
Well, your comments are real important because people worry a lot about carrying capacity and range. Do you have any problems at all with the Think car?
I had 350 pounds in back here for one of our electric vehicle events that I took the Think to, And it compressed the suspension 1/2 an inch. So there's still weight capacity to go.
Yeah, it's very well built then.
Well engineered, yeah. I'm real pleased with it.
So you've had a lot of electric cars. What advantages have they offered you with so much history with them?
Well, a little over a year ago, my wife and I were still driving gas vehicles. She had a Honda Insight, which gets 50 and better. I have a Metro, which gets 40 and better. And after converting both of us over, we're saving $200 a month in gasoline. She's 60 miles a day, I'm 40 miles a day. That's $200 from very, very high mileage cars. People with middle mileage cars can save $350, $400 a month.
And
By
the
going electric.
range hasn't been any problem?
70, 80 miles with no trouble at all with this.
And when you get to your destination, what do you do to charge it back up?
Well, it's fun. I get to a destination, I tell my friend I want to plug in, and they're happy to have me charge up. But that's really not an issue with this. My truck, it is an issue because my truck is about 40 or 45 miles. So I do have to charge.
Yeah, for range.
But yes.
It's, you make it sound like all you're doing is just plugging it into a regular circuit.
That's correct. Yes, regular household 110 circuit, or if it's available, I can use a 220 circuit also. My charger is been modified, so it'll do both 110 and 220. And 220 is quite fast. I pick up about 10 miles for every hour of charging when I'm running on 220.
Yeah.
So it makes a big difference.
Does it do the job in almost twice as fast or pretty close to twice as fast?
Well, about half again faster, not quite twice as fast. My big charger will do it twice as fast. My big charger will give you about 14 miles an hour of charge time. Charge time, 1 hour, 14 miles of range. It's really 30 amp, big thing.
So how long do you go where you can only, not only, when you use the electric vehicle? Because, you know, my personal experience is that my trips to Tahoe or someplace where I need a 300-mile range are so rare that it's hardly worth arguing.
Yes. I drive from Sunnyvale to Oakland and from Oakland back to Newark, and I've done that on one charge.
So in your previous incarnation somewhere, you were driving vehicles for a company with fleets or an institution of some sort?
Truck driving. I was a truck driver for a number of years when I was young.
So one of the things that Clean Cities implies is that we're trying to get anybody with fleets, not just cities, to switch over, because very rarely, you know, unless you're in long haul trucking, do they need that. Do you think this is a good car for fleet use?
Absolutely. I did one of my jobs I did short haul pickup. And it would be a small package, bring it into the warehouse. Another small package, bring it into the warehouse, bring in 3. The Think would have worked just fine for all of that. And you know, that was all City of Oakland. I was just running around City of Oakland with a Ford pickup truck.
Yeah, and they didn't send you to Milwaukee very often, did they?
No, didn't go to Milwaukee except by airplane.
Because I think San Jose, when we had the fleet manager on 3 years ago, they were trying to switch to electric as much as possible. And feel free to correct me here, Bob, but they had like 800 vehicles, and they all stay within the city.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
And they all come home at night. Every one of them comes back
so
at
no
night,
problem.
so they come to base.
Yep.
And they're also very concerned about their fuel costs. If you have 800 vehicles, you can imagine what your fuel costs. And Doug talks about his savings for his home. If you multiply that times hundreds of vehicles, it could really make a difference. We think that vehicle equivalent gas price is about 43 cents a gallon, as opposed to $4.50 a gallon.
So it's 10% roughly cost-wise.
Yes, yeah.
So talk a little bit about the engine, you know, because I saw Pablo Sandoval was given this 505 horsepower car for being MVP in the World Series, and I said to myself, if he really wanted to accelerate, he ought to be an electric car.
The S sedan is just a bullet. My car has an electric motor that's about 8 inches in diameter, I guess. It's hard to find it because it's buried down inside there, but it's somewhere in that area. And it puts out 45 horsepower. So when I'm in town, I put my foot on it, it just moves right out. There's no lag. It's a little slow going on the freeway. At above 50 miles an hour, acceleration is a little slow. And there's actually an update to the computer that's going to be installed sometime in the near future that'll improve performance for highway.
Because, my suspicion is that you could use them for police vehicles after that changes. It's made. My experience, it wasn't the Think car, but I had a friend pick me up at the airport and he wanted to brag about the acceleration. And we went from the airport exit to the Taylor exit, and he was over 100
Yes.
in that time frame.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling because all of that battery is available to you.
Yes. The S sedan will do that with ease.
Yeah.
I have a friend with the Tesla Roadster, and it's just a rocket ship. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
So you're not sounding like you feel like there's a lot of limitations on fleet owners in using this, either public or private sector.
No problem as far as I'm concerned. I can haul a 4-foot ladder in back. I put them in sideways, no trouble at all, and that's what I usually use when I'm working. And I've had longer pieces of wood, small pieces of wood that I stick in and put them between the seats and run them up toward the dash. Yeah, I haul all kinds of stuff. I've hauled my table saw. It's a portable unit. And I have a chop saw. I've hauled that back there. My skill saw. All that stuff goes back there.
And Think has given you 26 cubic feet of space, which we had someone at the car show, remember,
Yeah.
they had a box that they'd built to show how much room there was. And they took it out and it was immense how much room you have to put tools and packages, anything back there that as a fleet manager you might want to carry around with you. So that part of it. And then it does go 75 miles an hour. It gets up to 50, as Doug says, pretty fast. It takes a little longer to get up to 75,
Yeah.
but it runs 75. So I've owned one now for about 5 to 6 months. I have about 3,000 miles on my Think. My wife drives it from Los Gatos to Cisco, which is a 32-mile round trip, every day, and then plugs it in at night. And she feels very safe in it. She likes the performance, and I believe it saved us about the same amount of money because that's a trip that we used to do in a larger vehicle.
So let me put on my Breathe California hat now and talk about preventing pollution. How does an electric car prevent pollution? Obviously, you have to have a power plant somewhere. It doesn't need to be in the Bay Area, but a power plant somewhere making electricity. So either one of you fielded, or I'll find an environmental studies professor to answer my question.
There have been lots of studies done, and particularly in California, where we use natural gas for all of our big generating plants, or we have hydro or nuclear power, and we even have a fair amount of wind power now in California. The pollution output of those plants is significantly less per mile of driving with my car than a gas car for a mile of driving. And even the ones that are very, very efficient and very, very clean. If you're getting majority electricity from coal-fired plants, then it's still a little bit cleaner, but not very much. And that's Electric Auto Association is the one that has propagated those studies.
Yeah,
And from universities, so they're good.
And the Green Team just announced last Friday a solar fueling project, which allows you to have on the garage roof solar panels, and then that generates the electricity that becomes the fuel for the vehicle. And your president, Margot Seidner of Breathe, calls that zero emission squared, because you have zero emission from solar going into a zero emission vehicle. And she is very much behind that and has actually helped us put together a program to bring in grant money to get that implemented.
So let's just phrase Bob's answer over again, which is that you are going cheaper with the Think car, and you're more energy efficient, because any power plant typically gets about 40%.
60.
Yeah, they're getting up there, and
Yeah.
if you allow for transmission lines, maybe that'll fall down. But the numbers I've heard is a typical internal combustion car might be in the 8% range, meaning that 92% of your energy is being wasted. Yeah. It's the reason you got heat all over the place in the engine and other things. So you really are saving on a wide variety of ways.
Yes.
And with the Think and solar fueling, there just is so minimal amounts of emissions that the lung health issue is really put aside. And that's why Breathe works so closely with us on that project.
You know, and that's why I think it's just critical, like you say, is our new capacity needs to be alternative energy rather than LA right now is 50% of their energy comes from coal-fired power plants.
Yes.
They're not in LA, they're in Utah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still a pollution problem that blows east to people. So we'll be back in 30 seconds to talk more about the Think Car, your electric solution.
What it feels like to have an asthma attack is, well, you can't breathe and you can't tell anybody that you're having an asthma attack because you can hardly talk. You can maybe say 1 or 2 words, but you can't say much else. Breathe California has helped me come in contact with more asthmatics and more people who have the same case as I do. It's important to me because I don't feel like I'm alone in the fight against asthma.
Welcome back. I'm Terry Trumbull with Breathe California. We've been talking with Think Car owner Doug Brentlinger and head of the Green Team, Bob Garzee. So Bob, you and I have talked on air about this before, but there's been a number of developments. Talk about the activities that your group and Breathe California are working on to facilitate the large number of new electric cars, particularly the Think one.
Yeah, if you'd put up that sign that shows our emblem, again, I had mentioned it up front, but it shows that there are 3 partners who have gotten together for the Green Team. Breathe California, #1, which is very concerned about the health aspect. Silicon Valley Clean Cities, which is Department of Energy, which is very concerned about reducing the dependency on foreign oil. And then the ETDC, who's reached out into Silicon Valley and brought in solutions. We are very much focused on giving electric vehicles all the support they need, whether it be financing for fleets to buy those, because if you're going to buy 50 vehicles, you can't just write a check necessarily. So we have $200 million in financing. We have a training school in De Anza College where you can send your mechanics to learn how to work on these kinds of vehicles. And then the third thing, as you see, is the technology. We just announced a driveline that can go into a current vehicle and make it an electric vehicle. So
you called it a kit. By driveline, explain what that means.
A lot of people in the industry think you should throw a car away and go buy a new one. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily believe that. We think there's a lot of good vehicles that could be converted. And so we've come up with a technology out of this valley that allows you to take the driveline that runs down the middle for propulsion out of a normal internal combustion, put the kit in, which replaces it and gives it power that's all electric. And we think that's an exciting approach with pickups and school buses. And that leads me to our biggest project with Breathe California, is helping school buses to become clean for the kids, for the lung health, and also reduce that $4.50 diesel. And this kit and the school and those pieces all help us get that done.
Yeah, and I would hope anybody in our audience will talk to their school boards and push this. In this area, they've been marvelous about going to solar energy for their electricity, but their kids are inhaling. The worst thing air pollution-wise is diesel fumes, 70% the toxic damage. And to replace them with electric vehicle, the kids are the most susceptible part of our population to these toxic fumes. So yours is a win-win situation.
And as Margot says, when the budgets are low, which they are now for schools, they can't afford to throw the school bus away and go get a brand new one. So this allows them to take current buses and make them clean, which we think is a really good solution in these times.
Yeah, and I think every parent who has a kid either riding in a school bus or one driving by him is going to appreciate it.
I think so. The other thing I'd like to mention is the Think Company, which we've all participated in and tried their vehicle, and we really have good feedback from all 50 of the people in this valley using one, has donated to Margot Seidner of Breathe, California, a check for $20,000 for being a part of the program, educating people about this transportation device. And we're really pleased that that happened, and she was pleased in getting that last Friday.
Yeah, I can't overemphasize how important this is, because this is a product of people buying a good car like Doug. And the money goes to treat the people who are being damaged by all of the gasoline or diesel powered vehicles, because we desperately need funding to be able to help the 500,000 people who are breathing unhealthy air in the South Bay.
It's a perfect relationship, and Breathe does a good job of explaining to school districts and to other organizations about why an electric vehicle is a good device and how it can be used. So we think everyone helps, and then our school teaches the fleet manager of the school district. He already knows the bus because he's been working on it for years, but if they learn the kit, now they have a total understanding of the product.
But if they had, I'm reinforcing what you're saying, so probably wasn't the right word, but if they had 20 buses, they have the big advantage that they learn how to use one kit. Everything is a piece of cake for them afterwards, you know, unlike Doug, who converted his and probably his pickup and had to figure out everything piece by piece.
And the people that are the mechanics already are employed by the school district, and they get to stay employed because they now have made the transition to new technology. It's really a very positive program.
We'll talk a little bit about the electric vehicle mechanic program at De Anza. How would that tie in for the school district? Could they send the mechanics there over and get short-term training, or is it mostly long-term job training?
No, it's really a course that's 24 hours over 3 days, and the shop people can come to the class. They pay for the class, but at the end of the class, the state of California gives them a 50% rebate on the training. And De Anza has been set up so that you've got a classroom lecture, and then you have hands-on out in the job shop area. And so they come away really understanding either all electric vehicles in general or specific types of vehicles. And we have had a couple of Think Owner Club meetings there, and everybody likes it because there's a place to learn, and it's a place to learn about new technology. And that creates lots of jobs, which is what we really want to try to do. And it keeps people in a position to be employed and become special because they know something that many other people in the shop don't know.
Well, and it's a future job guarantee compared to the internal combustion engine. You know, the last time you talked about this in the show, all sorts of other retailers of cars were signing up people from De Anza to go into training because electric cars are the future. And so they were doing that as a mechanic program as well as servicing these cars.
It's another good group working together with Breathe and the ETDC and Clean Cities and De Anza training and the California Energy Commission providing a rebate to keep the cost down. It's really a very good package of people working together for a good cause.
Yeah, and so this is really quite spectacular. I mean, one of the benefits about the electric car we haven't discussed, we talked about the actual generation, but almost always the generation is occurring in an area that isn't as in much trouble air quality as we are. Here in the South Bay, we're breathing unhealthy air. We're what's called a non-attainment district. So when you drive an electric car, you're not dumping fumes and contributing to the problem. And the generating source, either as Bob would say, would be an alternative energy source or hydro, or it's being built outside of the area. Because that's quite common for where these big types of power plants are. So we got about 3 minutes left, Bob. What are some other major areas you wanted to cover?
Well, I'd just like to wrap and say that we believe that consortiums working together with a common cause are very powerful. And the Breathe California organization has really done a nice job of causing that to happen and to help with the real specialty information about lung health and things like that. And so we just really appreciate their involvement, and we always try to tie something together. We think what Doug's doing with the Think is really an outstanding approach to showing that electric vehicles are real. It's not something 5 years from now, but people can go out and use them today.
Well, and it's real significant. You know, I talk to my classes amusingly because my 25-year-old students are the ones that our air pollution control standards are based on. But we're breathing unhealthy air for them, but we have susceptible problems like kids growing up near the school buses we talked about, or humoring you guys and assuming maybe you're over 50. The older you get, I remember when I turned 50, AARP sent me a letter and said, "You're a senior now," and I burned the letter immediately. But the fact is that our lung capacity isn't as good. Or people with special breathing difficulties, allergies, and asthma, which I might add didn't exist 200 years ago when we didn't have air pollution. That group of 500,000 people is in addition to healthy people, you know, very healthy 25-year-olds breathing. So it's pretty significant. So talk a little bit about your experience. We got about a minute left. You're very happy with your Think car at this point,
I love the Think car. It works very, very well. It gives me all the service in the Bay Area I need. It's nice to save $200 a month. That's money in the bank when we retire, and that's around the corner now. So it's a great little vehicle. Just does everything I need.
And any need for maintenance so far?
Zero maintenance so far.
Yeah,
Yep.
But we already heard from Bob, it's going to be available. So we thank you for joining us. This is Breathe California TV. Each week we present a show. Most of them are on preventing lung damage. Burning in your fireplace this time of year or driving a car anytime creates particulate and ozone problems that are real serious. And the Think car is an option that will protect your health as well as saving you money. See you next week.